He said, "Are you fucking 16?" I go, "Yeah, yes, I am." And he goes, "I'm gonna make you fucking nasty." And that was the end of it. He walked off.
What's up, everybody? This is Matt and Rory from the Gym Partners podcast. We have the official Nasty Lion with us today, and we're super happy to have him with us. This is a special episode, actually, because he is one of Mr. Nasty Leroy Davis's proteges, and we're looking forward to hearing all about that experience. So, official Nasty Lion, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of your background, and if you want to give us your name first or last or whatever you want to do for that, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So, some of you might know me as official Nasty Lion, also Hamza. I am 19 years old and currently a student at Oxford, so a little prestigious university over there. I've been training for I've been running a gym since I was 13 years old. So I think training properly hardcore about 2.5 years with Mr. Davis and Anf. So yeah, it's been a pleasure training with Leroy and learning everything literally every day, every session. You know, it's a new experience for me, and it's a nice little insight to real hardcore training and what it takes to be the next level in the industry. And there's a lot of different styles of training. There's a lot of different kind of what was it called? What was I going to say? Different methods to training, and there's a special training with Team Nasty that's just old school hardcore and down to earth and just simple. There's no fancy shit. There's just hard fucking core training, and I love it.
I love the answer. So I'm gonna have to stop you right there, man. I'm blown away. I was not expecting you to tell me you're an Oxford student.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I only obviously I know you from watching you through Instagram, and you also I first noticed when you gave us a shout out with the Gym Partners app, and I saw you kind of sharing some of our stuff from, I believe it's the Unit 4 gym that you work out at.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's like a family gym for mine, and I've been working there since I was 13. Literally just left from as I moved to Oxford in September 2022. So I still go there, still my home gym. I love that place. It's in my heart.
Awesome. So if you don't mind me asking, before we get into the more hardcore workout type stuff, what are you going to Oxford to study?
So I am doing motorsport engineering, science and mathematics, to eventually become a Formula One engineer and more the aspect of mechanical. Wow. So that's what I'm doing, Oxford, yeah.
So I'm sure, as I explained in the before we started recording with you, how we're going to just kind of try and keep this as an ongoing conversation. And I realize you'll be super busy, obviously, studying at Oxford, but would definitely love to have you back, dude, because Rory and myself, we're also, I guess you could say, engineers of sorts. And that's what's fascinating with this whole topic of bodybuilding and even the psychology. We're trying to all build something here, whether it be body, app, all that kind of stuff. So that's super interesting that you're into that. So if you wouldn't mind, I've got to hear, what is the story of Leroy? How did you come across Leroy, or how did he meet you? Tell us how that whole thing happened.
Well, the way I met Leroy is he was invited to Unit 4 by a friend of his just after COVID started. Ended, So the last part of COVID, he came down to the gym, saw it, and I was training. I think I was training shoulders, if I believe. I think I was flying at 25 kilo with some pretty decent form, not Team Nasty standard form, but some solid form. And I was 16 at the time. And I think one of the people behind the counter actually said, like, that kid over there is 16 years old. And Leroy actually approached me and he said, "Are you fucking 16? I go, "Yeah, yes, I am." And he goes, "I'm gonna make you fucking nasty." And that was the end of it. He walked off. That was it. He looked at me. He
That
goes, "I'm
is
gonna make you fucking nasty," and that's it. That was the end of that. So he invited me to train with him on the Friday. I think this was a Thursday, so he invited me to train the next day with him. And surprisingly, it was legs. And if you know Leroy, back and legs are his speciality. He can kill anyone on them, literally. And for about a week, everyone said to me, literally, "Don't train with Leroy. He's gonna hurt you. He's gonna kill you. He's gonna make you throw up." But I had the attitude of not going in there and being like an ego lifter, rather going into with the mentality of learning. Leroy he's a legend at the end of the day. I mean, if anyone's got any more experience or knowledge than him, it's going to be Leroy. So I did. I turned up to the session, and what surprised me the most was, and this is kind of where the levels changed for me, was we started on calves, which I normally do anyway. Normally did back then. Started on calves because a lot of people just neglect calves, leave to the end. You leave calves to the end, you ain't gonna do them. You're knackered from your leg section. You're just gonna half-ass do them and call it a day. So started on calves and the leg press, and he warmed up with 4 plates aside. And I looked at the 4 plates on each side, and I was like, "What have I got myself into?" And again, I started the session, and from 4 plates, we went from 5 to 6 to 7, and I was keeping up. I was staying there, and we went to do the leg extensions, and I think he was impressed with the mentality I had of not going to give up. I'm going to finish this session. I'm going to prove everyone wrong who said don't train with him. He's going to fuck you up. And so I did, and I think from then on, he just saw potential in me, and took me under his wing. From then we done back, and he turned to chest, and then from there, I think for a straight year, I trained with him non-stop, 4 days a week, at Unit 4. And then, as me being a student, times changed for me, and obviously he's done his work as well, and times didn't work out for us, but we still get a session in. So I've been training with Leroy for about 2.5 years now, and I learn everything every day. I've trained with Bounce twice. I've done Team Nasty with James Hollingshead when he came down to Durham, and it was good. So that's how I met Leroy, and that's how I got into Team Nasty, really.
Awesome, that's awesome. So, did you when you met Leroy that first time, were you aware of kind of who he was and his whole connection with Dorian and all that stuff as far as that goes?
The funny thing was, I probably watched Blood and Guts before every session, with Leroy just screaming down his ear and motivating him to get the last few reps. And before I was, turned into the bodybuilding world, I was powerlifting, building that little structure, getting that strength up. And by the time I was 16, I was benching about 108 kilo, and we had, I was pretty strong kid, So when I went up with Leroy, I knew he's gonna scream down my ear, and I like that. I like that mindset where he's gonna take you to the end. If you're gonna go there or not, he's gonna fucking take you there. He's gonna take you to hell and back, literally.
I love it. Rory, did you want to get Nasty Lion a question in here?
No, man. Just want to start by saying it's awesome you go to Oxford. I wasn't expecting that either, and you're very put together for your age, man. Like it's yeah. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. Or do you have a background in sports or anything? So coming up, you were 16 and you caught the eye of Leroy. So how did you get there? Maybe you could go into that a little bit.
So I think we call it nursery, might call it like kindergarten and stuff like that. From the age of 3 years old, 3 to about 5, my dinner man. So on my lunch breaks, he was, the person supervising like the playground area, and he was actually a wrestling coach at Alexander Stadium where the Commonwealth Girls Games were held in 2022. He was a wrestling coach, Olympic wrestling coach, and he lives opposite me as well, where I live in Birmingham. So he kind of took me under his wing, and I started wrestling. I've got 2 older brothers as well, and they were wrestling with him. And so I came from a wrestling background, and then it eventually drifted off into MMA, but fights, wrestling matches, and then I had a little injury. on my neck, a little scare, I think, hyperplasia, some reaction with my lymph nodes, and I had to have surgery. So I had to stop wrestling because I lost sensation in my head and like my arms and stuff. So wrestling became too dangerous in a way. If someone had me in a like an arm bar or something, I wouldn't be able to feel it, and they could just snap my arm without me knowing. So I kind of drifted off into a powerlifting, bodybuilding world again. Through my two older brothers, they kind of led me into training. My uncles and stuff. So I started at Unit 4, just messing around, jumping on the treadmill, just lifting random weight, the normal kid perception of building big arms and a big chest and forgetting everything else. And so that's how it all started for me. Then kind of started taking it seriously. Again, I wasn't aware of supplements or anything like that, creatine, protein shakes. I didn't have a clue or any of that. But it started with, just MMA. I couldn't do MMA, so I transferred into powerlifting, and now I found bodybuilding through Leroy. So I think it's a great transition coming from wrestling, from the power background, being explosive, and then going into the weightlifting, which is another explosive movement, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you're okay and you were able to, pick up and keep going. And so, who's your favorite fighter?
Favorite fighter? It's a hard choice, but if I had to choose anyone, it would be Khabib for definitely wrestling, and I think all-time GOAT for me is John Jones. You can't beat that guy.
So he's coming back to heavyweight now, huh?
Heavyweights, man. The heavyweights
Yeah, that's,
they're the best,
that's
man.
gonna that's gonna be an interesting one. Yeah, man. So I have one more question. You do seem very put together. I don't want to keep talking about your age, but what do you, is that just who you are? What do you think? Uh, you seem very exceptional for your age. So maybe just you could tell us how you became that way, and maybe advice to any young people who are listening.
So for the most part, it was me growing up with the older generation. My brother's been 4 years and 5 years, 4 and 6 years older than me, and I didn't really have, I wouldn't say friends or my age where I would mess around. So I was messing around from a very earlier age where some people my age would be messing around like now, going to parties and fighting and out on the streets, having fun. I've already done all that stuff, with my two older brothers and and their friends. So I kind of matured early in a way, and being in the gym from 12, 13 years old, you don't find 12, 13-year-old people in the gym. So people I was hanging around with, 30-year-old people of knowledge, people of power, people have been there, done that. They've competed or they've done some sort of you know competition or anything, and they give you that lecture in a way where they just lecture you about, oh, don't do this and don't do that and stay away from this and stay away from that. Little did they know I've already done it. I've already that road and been on that path. And bodybuilding again, it took me off that path. Same as did fighting really, as did getting in the ring. It took me off that road path and put me on the straight and narrow. And I think for the young people, I think is any advice I'd give them is you can have fun, but you need to know your limits. You need to know when it's time to stop and time to put your head down and learn from the fun things you do in life, but also don't neglect it, because at the end of the day, if you don't do it at a young age, or you've been tempted to do it but you haven't, eventually you're going to do it, and by then it might be too late in a way where you might get more consequences. So I wouldn't say have fun, have your times, have your your fun moments, but know when it's time to get serious and knuckle down and soak up that information that you take from anyone, even if it's right or wrong. At least you've got some sort of knowledge of, okay, that's going to go into the wrong section and that's going to go into the right section. Have a little basis of, have a little structure in a way of knowledge from the elders, and that's probably the best thing you can get. Is people have done the experience, been there and done it. They can tell you just straight, really, can't they?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Well, I think you're a great example for people, man, and yeah, I have no doubt that you'll achieve everything you seek out, man. And good luck with school. I look forward to speaking with you again, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Mr.
Matt.
Nasty Lion, let me get one more question here for you
Yeah.
before we take off. So I definitely the next time we get on with you, hopefully, I would love to break down a little bit more a training session with Leroy and go a little bit deeper into that because obviously we've all seen the videos and it's got to be a whole nother thing to be actually in the gym with Leroy right there. You know, we created the Gym Partners app because it was that powerful just watching the videos. And, I thought, man, if I could have that just in my ear, like that would really motivate me. So that was kind of why we created this app. And I would definitely, love to get deeper into it with you about actually training with Leroy. But my final question for this session was, what are you hoping to achieve, say, in the next year, 2 years? I saw you mention something about the juniors. Are you planning on competing soon, or what's your plans for that?
So the plans to compete are this year. I was meant to compete last year, but the time frames in university starting early, I think it was a blessing in a way because Oxford being a very you know ruthless university. If you're not on track and you're not dedicated, you're not on point with everything, you're gone really. And I think I done my prep just before I started university. So though I didn't get to compete last year, I think it was a great you know, kind of directing me in the right path of having that dedication. If you may know yourselves, and from other people, prep isn't easy. It's not pretty either. So I think it gives you that hardcore mentality of knuckling down and getting stuff done to the ground, and that's what university for me is about now at the moment, is getting everything down to the T. And, no mistakes at all. You can't allow yourself to make a mistake. So this year, I'm planning to hopefully compete with the latter part of the year. So hopefully start prep with Mr. Bale soon and get the ball rolling again. So next few years, be sure to definitely see me on stage and do some damage in the junior category, 100%.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. Well, dude, like we said, we're going to try and keep these relatively short, but the next one, because you're a young guy in the game, I want to hear a lot more about your current kind of dieting and training strategies. So the next time we have you on, maybe we'll dig into that a little bit deeper. But you have anybody you want to shout out? Maybe Unit 4, where we can find anything on Instagram for you, the gym. Give us your shout outs before we let you go here.
Yeah, well, therefore, big shout out to Unit 4 Gym on Instagram, unit_4_gym. That's my home gym in Birmingham. If you're watching this, give it a go. Go check it out. It's a real hardcore gym, down in the trenches. We've made some upgrades to it, so it really, really looks like you're in the trenches. Yeah. If you have the Gym Partners app, which I've had tried myself, it can take you to that fucking next level. Trust me. Big shout out to Leroy, of course, Mr. Nasty Davis, Alf Bales, the whole team Nasty. Taking me under their wing and starting this bodybuilding journey from young.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll be sure to put the links directly to you in the show notes for this as well. And yeah, we're looking forward to having you back. So thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for having me back. It was
Awesome.
great.
All
Have a
right.
great afternoon.
Yeah, have a good one. Good luck in school,
You
and we'll
too.
be checking in on you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
Peace.